Welcome back here to Weather on the Go. This is your evening edition, and my name is Hunter. We're going to be looking at your short-term weather forecast with severe weather in the forecast with damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. We're going to be looking at your long-range outlook and your tropical weather outlook, as well as Hurricane Erin is likely to form over the next 24 hours and become a major Category 3 or 4 system. So we're going to look at that. Today is National Creamsicle Day, and everybody probably will like one because it is hot outside, nice to have some ice cream, that is for sure. And looking at those temperatures, we were well above normal here off the Front Range into the plains today. In fact, most areas 15 to 20 degrees above normal of where we should be here in mid-August. Cooler air, though, bottled up to the north. You can see the southern Canadian prairies, not too far away, but up to the north where we saw temperature anomalies up to 25 degrees below normal today. So here were your high temperatures, and again, a creamsicle would be delighted with these type of temperatures into the 90s and low 100s, even some record highs near 100 outside the Denver International Airport today. So yes, it was very, very hot out there. Upper 70s, low 80s with a smidge of humidity was expected today in the upper Midwest, and that's exactly what we saw. That translated eastward into the Northeast, and you saw temperatures today that were warm. Well, the lows tonight will also be warm, especially favoring the plains, especially the further south you go, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana. That's where we're going to tend to see lows in the middle and upper 70s overnight tonight. And then as we go into the day tomorrow, again, you guessed it right, we're going to have more record heat potentially from Colorado down into the Texas Panhandle, including Amarillo. Up to 100 tomorrow afternoon. Starting to heat up, though, over here into the Midwest. Places like Des Moines, Chicago, St. Louis, low to mid-90s, and more humidity will promise heat indices over 100 once we reach your Friday and we go into the weekend. And you can see, looking here at the heat index values tomorrow, we're going to see triple digits from areas as far north as South Dakota, southern Minnesota, down here through Iowa, Nebraska, and all the way south here to the Gulf Coast. And then going into Saturday looks like an oppressive day with dew points in the 70s. That will translate to 100 to 105 degree heat index readings across a large chunk of the Midwest as we go into Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon as well. So make sure you're staying hydrated out there, especially if your job ventures you outdoors, you have any outdoor activities. Make sure to stay hydrated, and also frequent breaks in the shade or air conditioning definitely would probably help to prevent heat exhaustion and even heat stroke. Now let's look at the severe weather potential, right? We have the cooler weather further north, the warmer weather further south, and the clash of those two air masses coming together will spell out some trouble in severe weather. In yellow, we have the chance for scattered severe thunderstorms from eastern North Dakota into northwestern Minnesota the remainder of this evening. In the dark green, that is where isolated severe weather will be possible, and that's further west too, into the areas near Salt Lake City, Cheyenne, and even down toward Denver as we go into the afternoon and the rest of this evening, really. So 60 mile per hour wind gusts is going to be the main threat, followed by some hail, and some of that hail could be pretty destructive, especially as into eastern North Dakota, northwestern Minnesota this evening. So hopefully your car is in a garage or under a carport, because tennis ball size hail potentially here could do a lot of damage to your vehicle, and there is some chance of a tornado or two. Now there's a little bit of low level rotation, that's why we have that 2% chance of tornadoes in green in eastern North Dakota and into Minnesota this evening. Going into your day tomorrow on Friday, August 15th, severe weather shifts a little bit further east and a touch further south as well. So here in Wisconsin near La Crosse, over there toward Eau Claire, that's what we're looking at. I'm trying to think of some of these cities in Wisconsin, and for some reason I just can't think of any. But yeah, Eau Claire, back there toward Wausau, and for example, La Crosse, we have scattered severe weather in Wisconsin tomorrow, and isolated severe weather in South Dakota, Minnesota, northern Iowa, Wisconsin, northern Illinois. Yeah, the whole Midwest there. And it does come with mainly a wind and hail threat, but there is another 2% chance of tornadoes there near the Twin Cities, La Crosse, and moving eastward there toward Green Bay. So be keeping a very close eye on that going into tomorrow. Here is the reflectivity in the central United States. In blue, that's your clearing. In the white, that is your cloud cover. And the green is your reflectivity of rainfall. So here at this evening, we're watching some storms bubbling up there in eastern Colorado after what was a hot day. Some of this rainfall is welcomed. And as we go through the evening, clusters of storms will be moving into western portions of Nebraska. And that will be moving right down the I-80 corridor into central Nebraska before fizzling out late tonight. Still watching a chance for a couple storm cells that could produce up to tennis ball size hail, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and an isolated tornado or two in eastern North Dakota, northwestern Minnesota this evening. Once we get to Friday morning, we're going to see some showers and storms rumbling across the north central plains. And then as we go into the afternoon, some scattered severe weather potentially. And overnight, we're going to be watching the potential for a MCS, a mesoscale convective system, a fancy word for a line of thunderstorms that will produce wind damage, hail, heavy rain, lightning, the whole thing. So we're going to be watching that in the Twin Cities region, La Crosse, Duluth, even into areas near Eau Claire, which I could not for some reason pronounce earlier on here in the video. We'll be watching that for Saturday morning. Into the eastern United States, partly cloudy skies, so a mix of sun and clouds from the Ohio Valley up into the northeast this afternoon translates into this evening as well. And then as we go here deeper into the evening, we're going to see a lot more clearing across the eastern U.S. with a few clouds around, especially near the Smoky Mountains and up the Appalachians. We start the day like that tomorrow, and then we see quite a bit of sunshine, another mix of sun and clouds with a 40 to 50% chance of some showers and storms across the southeast. Again, these are your pulse thunderstorms. They pop up during the heat of the afternoon. Once the sun sets Friday evening, these storms will collapse on themselves, but they could produce some locally heavy downpours of severe weather standpoint. We're not really expecting any of that. In the western U.S., we got some storms around here, especially the Four Corners region up toward Wyoming and southern Montana, even over Nevada as well this evening, and that will continue as we go through the late evening hours. A storm system arriving in Seattle, Washington, and Olympia could bring some rainfall as we go into overnight near midnight tonight and into your Friday. It could be a wet Friday there for the Pacific Northwest with locally heavy rainfall possible there in places like Seattle. So keeping a very close eye on our friends there in the Pacific Northwest. Other than that, we're seeing, again, pop-up storms all across the Four Corners region with more cloud cover going into the day on Friday. Here's the rainfall as we go through 7 a.m. on Saturday, August 16th. And three main areas we're watching up to the upper Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and into the UP of Michigan, into the southeast with those pulse-type storms, and then over here into the west, which could include the Four Corners region, but we're really keeping an eye on the Pacific Northwest here as well. Olympia, Washington here, and also Seattle, Washington could see up to 4 inches of rainfall between now and Saturday at 7 a.m. on August 16th. So localized runoff of water. Pavement in Seattle is going to lead to runoff. So we have a lot of rainfall in a short amount of time. You can imagine that could lead to some flooding. So keeping, again, a very close eye on that. Saturday, August 16th, got more severe weather, a broad brushed area of severe weather from the Dakotas and Nebraska through Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, northern Illinois, where potentially some severe weather could evolve on Saturday, August 16th. That could be upgraded because we have a lot of instability. It's a high cape, low shear environment. When I say high cape, that's a convective available potential energy. We have high amounts of storm energy, low amounts of wind shear, and that's going to drive the forecast for Saturday evening. These complex of storms are going to be developing mainly during the evening and overnight and early morning hours, and they could wake you up with a lot of lightning, a lot of rain, some wind and hail, even a tornado threat. So watching this in the upper Midwest, and we could do it over again as we go from Sunday into Sunday night with more of those storm complexes. Just looking at the weekend, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan will be the areas that we need to be concerned about, at least for some severe weather, going through 7 a.m. on Monday, August 18th. Now, long range next week, Monday, August 18th through Friday, August 22nd, ridge of high pressure is moving over here into the Four Corners region, and clockwise airflow around a high pressure system will promise some of that warmth spreading eastward too into the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, with the eastern seaboard leaning below normal, or at least near normal, and that is because of cloud cover, debris cloud cover from Erin, or just in general, you're further away from that ridge, so you're likely to bend a little bit closer to normal with your temperature. And you can see probably some precipitation in the mix there from the Great Lakes down here toward the southeast. And looking at that, it's more sporadic, so kind of a messier type of precipitation precipitation in the central and especially eastern U.S. going from Monday, August 18th through Friday, August 22nd. The further west of the Mississippi River you go, especially toward the Rockies and really out toward the immediate west coast, that is where the driest weather will be as we go through next week. Now, let's look here at a strong cold front, right? Next weekend is going to be a welcome sight to many folks that I know are wanting a cool down. And here you go. This is music to your ears. I know that for sure. And you can see cooler air blue on the map finally across the upper Midwest. And that is going to be plunging further south as we go into that following week. And that could bring some 70s with low humidity back to the central and the eastern United States. That is for sure. Now, what you're looking at currently is tropical storm and strong tropical storm Erin here spinning in the western main development region of the Atlantic Basin. And this system here is a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm. There are tropical storm watches up now for the northern Leeward Islands and areas east of Puerto Rico. So moving west at 17 miles per hour is the movement. It is likely to become a Category 1 hurricane as early as Friday, late morning into the afternoon, and then rapid intensification as it spreads west and northwestward towards the Bahamas, right? It's going to be just to the east of the Bahamas by next Monday as a Category 3 or 4 system. So we look at this system, very healthy look here. You got the overshooting tops, very nice deep convection with this system. Here it is relative to land. So here's the Lesser Antilles, there's Puerto Rico, there's the Dominican Republic, and then you can see the Bahama Islands there, and then Bermuda. So it's still a little bit of ways away from these, but look at the warmer water in those areas. In the Southwest Atlantic Basin, very, very favorable thermodynamically for a system to rapidly intensify, and the guidance continues to remain locked in on a Category 3 system, at least possibly even a low-end Category 4 with rapid intensification. Once we get to that hurricane status tomorrow, it is full steam ahead once we go into the weekend with that intensification. So here's the European model. By Saturday to the north and east of Puerto Rico, possibly a Cat 2 at this point. Then as we go into Sunday and Monday, we're going to see a rapid intensification as it moves closer to the eastern Bahama Islands to a Cat 3 or 4, and this system will thrive in those warmer waters, getting very close to the eastern seaboard and the Outer Banks, but not quite, right? The center of low pressure is still kind of cutting between North Carolina and Bermuda. Here's the GFS model run, a little bit similar, but maybe just a little bit further out to sea than the European model is showing. Now we're looking at ensemble guidance, and a lot of these members in the red and pink and purple, the magenta colors, that is a stronger run. So we're looking at more Cat 3, Cat 4 strength, and notice a lot of the members still off the eastern seaboard, but not by much. And you can see the GFS ensemble, again, very similar. It's off the eastern seaboard, but not by much. There actually is a couple members getting closer to Florida. We'll have to continue to watch this as we go through the next couple of days to see if there's any trends westward with this system. No matter what happens, direct U.S. landfall or not, there's going to be some dangerous rip current risks, not only for the U.S., but the Caribbean islands. So we're watching the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico here, and then moving up there toward Bermuda. We could have some really big waves in Bermuda Wednesday evening into Thursday morning next week that could approach 50 feet in some areas, believe it or not, with such a massive system. So watching out for that. There could be some beach erosion if it gets close enough to any of these islands in the Bahamas or anything like that. Definitely beach erosion there, and even some storm surge perhaps for Bermuda. So we're keeping a close eye on that. Not only are we talking about Erin, but we're looking for potentially another system developing west of the Yucatan into the southwest Gulf. 40% chance of development over the next few days. And then looking at the East Pacific, we can breathe a sigh of relief. What was a very quick start to the hurricane season out here has come to a screeching halt, at least for now. But the National Hurricane Center in the next 7 days, not looking at any tropical cyclone activity. Hey, before we go, let's look at the longer range. And I know we looked at the long range. Let's look at the longer range, right? So August 23rd through the first 5 days of September, this takes you through September 5th, equal chances of above or below normal temperatures across the central United States. That's in the wake of that late August cold front. So the cooler air actually has some staying power, and that will push the heat further down to the south near the Gulf Coast. South Florida will be baking in the heat, so a nice destination for a vacation late in the season. But that is going to come at a cost for any tropical activity. So yes, it could be warmer in Florida, but it could be wetter. So we got to watch the tropics, I think, in the Gulf this time. Once we get into late August, early September, the MJO phase and a lot of other things aligning here in the, the weather pattern that is going to drive more of these systems into the Gulf. Drier behind a cold front, cooler air is drier air, so we can expect some drier weather for the Great Lakes region, the Midwest, and into the Ohio Valley. I know friends in the Ohio Valley probably don't like to hear that because it's been pretty dry. Upper Midwest will love to hear that because it's been very wet in contrast. And then you have that monsoonal flow over there in Arizona, Phoenix, Flagstaff, Tucson, and even Albuquerque in New Mexico could be experiencing that. So thank you all for watching. This has been a great time. Again, I enjoy putting out these weather forecasts and updates for you folks, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. If you do like it, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. It is National Birthdays and Events Day. It is National Creamsicle Day. So if you have a birthday, go get a creamsicle, right? It is warm outside. Perfect day for some ice cream. And if you like these straightforward, accurate, informative, detailed, life-saving weather forecasts, I can't stress this enough. Subscribe to my channel. We are getting very close to 135,000 subscribers, and I couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you so much for your support, and I hope everyone has a wonderful and safe rest of their Thursday out there.